Yes.
Yes, very good. It's good. We didn't. I only say a lot of blah blah blah. So no good. No need. I'm not gonna start over. Exactly.
Sorry
No,
for
start
being
over.
late.
I have. Thank you. No, no, no. This is great because yeah, the other day I even on Wednesday I even forgot to put it on light. So you are doing great. You're better than me. And and if you ask me what I just said, I have no idea. I don't remember anything. It's just blah blah blah. But then what I was talking about the how the material world is progressing. Yes, but the intention of this is money, power. No, me or me. It's not really thinking about it. It is thinking about others, but with a hidden from behind, say, because if I do just two little things, I make more money. So it does help, but there is an intention behind, right? So can you imagine if that intention was not there and the intention was only to help others? We could be um, creating so many solutions for so many problems that we have now. So this shows that the mind has the potential to create many things, but it depends on the intention, motivation for what we are doing. So this is the first two worldly dharmas. Okay, craving for material possessions or material things for comfort, or craving for to be free from material possession, to be free from lack of or not having material possessions, or being avert to not having material possession. So the second type is what we called craving for happiness or pleasure, and craving to be free from unhappiness, or craving to be free from discomfort or for suffering. That is very, 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 very easy to see, right? We have the first moment of discomfort, of a little bit unpleasure, we say? Unpleasant, an unpleasant situation. Immediately we find a solution for that. We find, something to eat. We get to our phones. We run away from that. We run away from unpleasures. So that's our aversion. We are avert to unpleasant situations. And unpleasant situations, of course, some of them is good that we avert to, right? Because they are not beneficial for us. But the problem is not that, is the attachment or the idea behind that thinks that running away from that is going to bring me happiness. It's going to really bring me what we call, lasting type of happiness. Attachment is so sneaky. It tells us so many wrong stories, and we just fall for it all the time. We just fall for it. We are constantly pleasures, 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 pleasures. You go to, what is that place in New York with all the billboards? Times Square. Right? Now we don't need to go Times Square. We just open Instagram. Same. Bah, 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 bah. Right? You know, the young people. Everything's there to make us wanting more. And if you think about it, they are even playing, these companies are even playing with this, with these attachments. They're creating ways to make us hook even more because they know the mind, they understand, they study the mind. They can see. There's a very nice book called The Power of Habit. Doogie, Christian, Doug, or something like that. Can't remember the name now of the author. Very nice. But it's talking about that. It's talking that because they understand our habits and they are having information, collecting that of our habits. It's a very nice because it talks about Target. I think Target. And Target, I didn't know what it was until I went here for the first time and I was shocked what it was like. And then saying that this person started to receive on his mail kind of like things about babies and things like that. And this couple, and they say, but why they're sending this? We don't have children. It's like, and actually they were pregnant, but they didn't know because of their habits, because they were seeing the way that they were looking things online, the way that they were buying and things like that. They could see that their mind is the same patterns of someone that is pregnant. And then they started to, there you go. You're gonna need this, you're gonna need that, you're gonna do that. Just for them to go by. So that is how it is. If we understand the mind, we have a lot of control. And we can have even control of others people. That is why it's so dangerous. That is why Buddhism, in some ways, is a certain of responsibility. Very important. Once you start to develop some type of wisdom, you need to understand the responsibility we have towards others. Because we can either help them or bring them to more suffering. Very, very, very important. So these are the other types, the second pair. Okay, the third pair is craving for a good reputation or craving for fame. You think that we do that in Instagram? No. I think Instagram, there's nothing to do with good reputation or fame. It's only about, showing the flaws of people. It's very easy, no? Very easy to see how we want good reputation. And we all suffer of that. We have the syndrome of the good boy and the good girl. I want to be the good girl. No, I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy. I'm a good girl. Right? Because of our education, because of our family, because whatever it is, we have that tendency of thinking that we need to be a good boy and we need to be a good girl. And that, of course, it helps us to be more polite, for us to kind of like do things. Yes. If you think about politeness in some way, it's thinking about others as well, right? You don't kind of like, you don't do that because it's not, appropriate and things like that. Yes, there's some sort of common sense. It's okay. Then we start to live our lives thinking and being enslaved by what others will think about us. And then we start to break into pieces. We start to compartmentalize. That word is exist. It's a very difficult word. But to make the divisions of ourselves, like here I need to be like that, here I need to be like this, here I need to be like this, because these people, see me like this, these people, and we lose ourselves. We don't know who we are anymore because we are pleasing others all the time, just craving for good reputation, for fame, for yes, I need to exist. I need to be someone, right? I think that the other word that also, yes, the opposite, which is craving to be free from a bad reputation. Rinpoche used to also use the word craving to be free from being unknown. Nobody wants to be unknown. I want to be someone, right? I am someone. And this is very easy to see. We are in a group of people, and then, because my opinion, right? We need to put our opinion, what I think, what I feel. It is the right view, the right way of doing things. So special. So easy to see. So easy to see. These things, I always say, learning about the Eight Worldly Dharmas, the first time I read this book, it was like, oh, in my mind. Because first I realized that I never practiced Dharma in my life. Because I'm always doing all of my even practice Dharma, it's for the Eight Worldly Dharmas. And second, not only the Dharma, but everything that I've been done in my life was because of this. Because I wanted, fame, because I wanted material things, because I wanted, pleasures. It was always like this, only that. And then the fourth one is also very connected with the good reputation, which is also very connected with what we are living nowadays, which is craving for praise. being praised. Wow, you are so nice. You're so spiritual, so holy. It's completely crazy. We live our lives like this. Oh yes, wow, that person did this. They are so nice. Oh yeah, that person is nobody disliked that person. Everybody likes, you know? And then we feel so good with ourselves. And then we crave to be free from criticism, right? Wow, criticism is the best because we normally don't ask for it. People give to us and we don't like it, right? And criticism is actually something that it could be so beneficial if we take it correctly because it's someone seeing maybe things that we can work on, things that we might not be able to see because it's just so used to in our minds. We don't see it. And we don't see that we are, doing this or doing that and being like this or being like that. And not necessarily that way of being is the best. So these teachings of the eight worldly dharmas, I always say, is like a bucket of cold water, because it gives like, or a big mirror in front of us. And then we need to look. If you are up for that, best. If not, then it's gonna be a bit right? Because if we can use the eight worldly dharmas as a way to check our minds and to to understand where we are at, and understand that no, we are not enlightened now, but we can get enlightened. If we know where we are, then we know where we can go. So that is what that is, to check and to really show us where we are at. So it's very important that we try to understand what is Dharma, what Dharma that we're talking about here, because why we are saying eight worldly Dharmas, because they are not really, like, it doesn't feel like Dharma, right? But Dharma here, Dharma has two, it's funny because the word Dharma in Tibetan, is the same word, cho, for two things. One, it's Dharma as the way that we understand when we are talking about the Buddhist teachings. Is that kind of like potential to transform our minds that we have, and that we can actually, by applying the Dharma to our mind, we can transform it. So this is the, let's say, the holy Dharma, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to say, holy Dharma and worldly Dharma. And the worldly Dharma, Dharma also in Tibetan can mean phenomena. Phenomena, or thing, a thing. And a thing, it means in this context, something that is something, a phenomenon that it is, because I don't want to use the word inherently existing, but that is what it is. A phenomenon that is existing, autonomous, independent. And as we have been seeing in the different classes, because now sometimes I give too many classes and I don't know what I said in each one. But it is something that if we started to understand that this inherently existence, it's actually a wrong view of the way we see things, right? So it's the wrong view of understanding and thinking that things exist independent, that they are not dependent on causes and conditions, and being labeled and being connected, engaged, perceived, or apprehended by our mind. We don't see it like that. So we see it exists from that side. So I say, this is bad, this is ugly. Then everything is in, this is beautiful. And the beauty is here. Right? Remember we talked about that. Talk about the beauty of the plant, of the flower. That, oh, it's so beautiful. And someone comes here and says, oh, this is ugly, actually, it's super ugly. No, it's not possible you can see, because I'm seeing this beautiful. And in my mind, the beauty is in the plant. So if the beauty is in the plant, everybody should see the same thing that I'm seeing. Not like that. Nothing is like that, if we think about it. Nothing is 100% seen in the same way by everybody. You know, nobody will say that. Not every single person in this world will say that. Who is a beautiful woman, and Taylor Swift is a good singer. Not everybody. Most people, but not everybody. Right? So that means that the good singer, it's not inherently in her. It's not independent, like as we are seeing. It's not in from her side. It's from my side. You understand? It's very important that we understand that. Because what happens is that because we see like this, but we say, I know this is beautiful. It's my opinion. Then someone says, Taylor Swift is ridiculous. I hate her. Blah, blah, blah. She's horrible. You become, right? Because my opinion of my singer that I like, right? And all conflicts come from this. Everything comes from this. Because we see it in the wrong view, we cling it to being mine or I, and then we cherish if it is something that we like, or we hate if it is something that we don't like. So that's what we are doing here. That's the dharmas that we are talking about. This type of dharma, this type of phenomena that is wrongly viewed by us. So these are the 8 worldly dharmas. Okay? Yes. You're going to ask something.
Is um, just thinking about the comparison with science, about the
comparison with science, yes.
for example, when they try to guess about the electrons,
Yeah.
where the electron is. Nobody can know until it's measured by somebody.
Yes.
So it's like maybe what would you say is something correct?
Yes. Well, nowadays more. So he was talking about for the online people. He was talking about kind of like how we discover, let's say, things like this in science, and how the science for the neuron no you the other one electron electrons, and so it's very true because that's exactly what is happening now. Buddhism and science are starting to get together, and they're starting to kind of like talk and realize that we are talking the same thing but in different languages, right? Actually, Buddhism has been saying some of these things for 2,600 years. And now science is starting to arrive in the same result or in the same understanding, right? But that's fine. But also it's good for us to also hear because it can help us to study Dharma. So the Dalai Lama created more than 32 or 33 years ago what we call the Mind and Life Institute. So have you watched the movie? I think 7 Years in Tibet also talk. Hundung, I don't remember if it talks about it. But His Holiness, when he was young, he was very, very curious about things. And he had this little clock and things, and he used to like to like assemble them and things. I think 7 Years in Tibet, no, that shows that. So he was always wanting to kind of like, very curious about how things work. And he was very kind of like a scientific mind, very scientific mind. So then he started to be to when he came to India and like Tibet. So he started to come to the US, to kind of like the Europe and all of these. He started to get together with these incredible scientists to learn more. He wanted to learn more, but they wanted to hear his opinion about things because he was the Dalai Lama and he wanted to understand how they was. And the way that he was explaining, many people would say, wow, you are more, we would never expect that a religious figure like you would be so scientifically, his approach would be so scientifically. Because it's very investigative, right? Is not really pure faith. It's really understanding through logic and reasoning how we get there. So this was is very, very interesting to see some of these talks You know, the Mind and Life Institute, if you go online, there are many talks about that. And that is exactly what they're starting to understand, is that from quantum physics right now, they're starting to see that there is no inherently existing self or anything. It's just a perception. It's like beauty. It's not here, not inherently here. It's a perception. It's your perception, right? So, if it is your perception, you need to understand your mind to realize, why are you seeing this as beauty and why are you seeing this as ugly? And not only this, but why you get attached when you see it as beautiful and why you get avert when you see it as ugly. And why, when you get attached, you want to grasp it and have it for you. And when you see it as aversion, when you want then to get very far away from you, you know? And you do many, many things. You even cut it or kill it. Do you understand how it goes? Yeah, you got it? That's the way of thinking from the wrong view. This is very important. That is how the mind creates our reality. Yes. You wanted to ask something? Yes.
About inherent,
Yes.
something having some
In-
inherent quality,
Inherent qualities, yes.
but like what?
So the thing is that we say that things don't have inherent qualities. They are causal.
What's just like nothing?
Not nothing. Like for example, space. We say that is inherently empty. Empty, not as emptiness. Okay, the word emptiness that we speak in Buddhism, it's not what we are talking about here, but we're talking empty in the way that it's always, or its quality is being empty. Let's say like that. Okay. We say as well that the the mind is inherently no,
Inquisitive?
no, no, what does it? This is a quality, but it's not, it's also causal, you know? Causal means depends on causes and conditions, right? There is a cause for that to be. So, yeah, so that is the thing that is like inherently is a very difficult word, but that's why we use different like inherently, independently, existing from its own side. I like that. Existing from its own side. You understand? Nothing exists from its own side. This flower doesn't exist from its own side. It exists as causes and conditions, right? You had to had a seed, you had to had moisture, you had to had water, had to had sun, and then had to had this and that, and then it. So when we are looking at that, we are looking at these entire, how do you say, conditions that have happened. All of this interdependence that has happened in order for this to be here. And if I'm gonna look for the flower in here, if I take the petals, is that the flower? No, they're called petals, right? They're not called flower, right? And then we have the stem, the stem. So this is the flower? No, because it's called stumps. So exactly. So these are parts. So if we try to take the parts, all of the parts, and we go into the atom and to the electron, and we try to see it, where is the flower? There is nothing we pinpoint and say, ah, this is the flower. Understand? That is very important because the protons and the electrons and all of these, they are not the flower. So that means that these causes and conditions came together and created this object, and my mind, labels it as flower. because we need to label it as something, right? Nothing wrong with labeling things. The label is not a problem. We label it flower, okay? These conditions to get coming together. But the problem is that the moment that I put this label, what do? Together, I create inherently existence in the label. I create existence from its own side. So the flower appears to my mind as being nothing, zero connected with my labeling, my process of labeling. You understand? It exists that flower exists from its own side. And immediately there we say flower, we say beautiful or ugly. And we think that this beautiful or ugly has nothing to do with our labeling. Are you following me? Yes?
So everybody's gonna say it's a flower, but then some people are gonna say pretty, somebody's gonna say ugly, and
Yes.
that's the part that is.
That is the part that is actually, is not the part of saying beautiful or ugly, that is the problem, is believing that the flower is existing from its own side. That the flower is inherently existing. And it doesn't. It's causal. It's not independently existing. Because the moment that we think that it is like this, we attach, we grasp to this existence. And then we grasp to it and we label based on our likes or dislikes. And we do this with everything.
Then everything is you,
Yes.
me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Exactly. Everything is cause and effect. Me. That is the biggest cause and effect. Right? Biggest cause and effect. Very easy to see. Cause and effect. Mom and daddy. Look. Close your ears. Mom and dad. Then egg and sperm. Right? Conception starts molecules. Divide, 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 divide. How do you say that? The embryo. Thank you. Embryo. Divide, 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 divide. Cause and conditions. Why? Because the mother is eating. No? So all the nutrients come so that multiplication of cells needs to happen. Right? So then it starts. Then we give birth. Then again, everything that we eat, right? It's cause and effect. We need to have those nutrients so this body can grow, right? So very easy to see cause and effect in the body. Mind, same. We remember we did a meditation on the continuity of the mind. You know, the moment of conception, the mind which was in a previous life dies, comes here, comes to not the mind but the body, you know, stops. The body stops of the previous life, the mind goes to a next life. And if we have, it can be 49 days. It can be 49 days to go to another life. And this life can be a different realm, can be an animal, can be a ghost, can be a god, can be many things. So, but if we are lucky and if we practice Dharma, you know, if you're lucky, no, if you're fortunate, if we have luck, because lucky is not a good word in Buddhism, because it's cause and effect. So there's no luck. It's mathematical, right? And luck is not mathematical. Luck is like we think that is random. There's no randomness in Buddhism. Randomness, yes, that makes. So then what happens comes, and then the mind starts cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect as well, changing from one moment to the moment, from moment to the other. This moment creates the next moment. This moment creates the next moment. This creates the next moment, and then we go. We are born. Even when we are already developing, because of our senses, it's very funny because there's studies, more and more studies that, you know, when the baby can here, no? Inside of the womb. Many things. Sometimes, they are born, and the voice of the mother, they recognize. The voice of the father, they recognize. Because of that. Because of those mind, because we have this body as a human being, the mind that it enters that, it's almost kind of like adapts to those senses, consciousness that we have, the sense consciousness that we have. So we have the sense consciousness of hearing, of smelling, of sight, of taste, of touch, and the mental consciousness, right? So we go out in the world, and then it's very easy to see how our mind goes yo-yo mind. You're good, bad, this and that, and we start to learn things, right? And we start to having memories. We remember what we did yesterday. We remember what we did 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So cause and effect. So if we go looking for the I, where is this I? We can chop the entire body, into the small cell. Where is the I? Where is it that we can point and say, I? No, there's nothing there to be found like this. What is there? There is a body and a mind. And because of there is a body and a mind, we label it I. As I said, I could be caca. Now, instead of saying, I go to the toilet, I say, caca goes to the toilet. Same, label, just a name. You understand? Caca is hungry. Caca, I'm hungry. Do you understand? It's a label. But it's not just a label. The problem is that it's a label that we think exists from its own side. And of course, it's a label based in its function. It cannot be called caca because caca is already something else. There's already something that it has to have those qualities to be called caca. So what we call is that we say it is to have a valid basis to be called something, So I cannot call this a mug because it doesn't have a handle. So even though it is a container that I put water in, it cannot be called a mug. Because a mug, the definition of it, it is a container that can put water inside, but has a handle. Understand? So we need to have a valid basis. So there is a valid basis to be called I. So there is an I that exists. No? An I, which is a body and a mind that goes to the toilet, that eats, that does that, this, that. But there's no inherently independent, existing from its own side I. That doesn't happen. Very important. Because if we don't understand that, we're not going to understand how we ended up coming to our 8 worldly dharmas. Because we don't have this understanding. Everybody okay over there online? Yes? You're following the blah, blah, blah about how things exist? I think so. I hope so. So, yes, Deepa say. So, what happens is that if we don't understand that this is the cause of our 8 worldly dharmas, we cannot start realizing the 8 worldly dharmas. We need to realize that we are totally enslaved of our 8 worldly dharmas, right? So it's very good because in the book it says Rinpoche, there's the tradition that where we comes from Lama Tsongkhapa is a tradition that we call, before it was called the Kadampa tradition. Nowadays there is the new Kadampas, which is not the same, and we have a lot of discussion and how can I say, criticism about them. But the Kadampas, they used to be very strong and special scholars and yogis. So one of them was Kadampa Geshe Gompawa, and he says, receiving the four desirable results of, as we say, of material possessions, of pleasure, of good reputation, and praise. So, due to the actions motivated by them, it's only to have pleasures in this life. That's the only thing that we are doing. When we are looking for comfort, we are looking for comfort for now. When we are looking for material things, we are looking for material things for this body, right? Because next body, I cannot buy a bed now and say, okay, when I die, then when I come back, I use that bed. Well, I can't. Maybe His Holiness or someone that can decide what they're going to do. They do that sometimes. In Kundun, there is a story about, I think that His Holiness left the previous His Holiness left these teeth, no, the teeth or something like that, hidden. No, he would
There were all these objects.
exactly the
You had to
objects,
figure out, well, what
exactly,
is-
and then he chooses. He says, "No, this is mine. This is mine. This is mine. This is mine." So we can use, but not now. Then so and has no benefit. So what we are doing with chasing these eight worldly dharmas, chasing the reputation, because right now I want reputation, but right now in this life I'm a monk, I'm a man. Next life, maybe I'm a dog, I'm a mosquito. You know, why am I like a maniac, completely lunatic, wanting praise or hearing nice words? What are words? That is the best thing understanding like praise. It's very good to meditate on praise. We're going to do meditations, next week. So we're going to go more into details on each of these, and we're going to meditate a little bit on them. And then when we talk about like praise, if I say, you're very beautiful, and then if I say in I don't know, in Spanish, muy bonita, right? But if you don't understand Spanish, you're going to be, what is this person telling me? It's the same thing. But because you don't understand the sound, which is the intention is the same, like the meaning is the same, but because you don't know the sound, you don't get the same result. But if someone says you are beautiful, you you feel good. And if someone says for you, you are beautiful in Spanish, but you don't understand the words, you don't feel good. You understand how crazy it is? It's just words. Just what the words are the same, exactly the same, the meaning exactly the same, but we don't understand. But one, we attach and makes us feel good in this life, because next life, don't even know. People will not even know who we are. We don't know. So that is what is important about understanding about the eight worldly dharmas, is that when we are under the influence of craving for material things and craving for not having material things, for the lack of material things, craving for praise, craving for good reputation, when we are doing this, we are only thinking about this life. Therefore, we are not thinking about next lives, and we are not thinking about enlightenment. Because enlightenment doesn't think about this life, doesn't waste time with these things. Enlightenment opens the heart. Enlightenment wants to actually use whatever we have now in order to help others. Not wanting criticism, wanting praise, wanting this, wanting that for oneself. Right? That's why it's important. Yeah, I'm just going to finish what they say. And then he says, furthermore, such actions can also bring the four undesirable results. And in that way, also create suffering. Because, and this is very important that we understand, the moment we are craving for material things, we are actually so obsessed with that we can create the causes to not have material things. Or when we are, this is very easy with reputation. We are trying so much to have a good reputation that sometimes what we do, we put a knife in the back of people, of our friends, or we do things a little bit more unethical just because we want a good reputation or praise. So when we do that, we are because everything's causal, we are creating the causes for the result to be the opposite of actually having a good reputation. We are creating for people to criticize us and say, look at that person, so selfish. They only thinks about themselves and blah, 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 da, 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 or envy, right? So that is very important to understand. When we are so obsessed with just one type of way of thinking, is these 8 worldly dharmas, we just want, and then we are creating the causes for the opposite to happen. Yes, Patricia.
One question. I always read and thought there's nothing that you can take to the next life. So people say, well, when you die, what are you going to take with you? And more recently, I've been thinking that yes, material things, that's true.
That's
nothing comes.
Yeah, coffin doesn't have a drawer. You don't bring put your money over there and bring with you.
However, the
Yes.
Dharma
That's it.
that you put in your
Yes.
mind,
Yes,
it comes with you.
that's it. That's exactly this. We did a meditation this morning on that, right? We don't know when, we know we're gonna die. We don't know when we're gonna die. And when we die, material things, friends, family, nothing of this happens. But the only thing that happens is our state of mind. The way we are at the moment of of death and what we cultivated throughout our lives. Because that continues, because the mind doesn't finish. The mind doesn't stop like the body. The mind goes to the next life. So all of those seeds and those habitual patterns that we created, all of those kind of emotions and experiences, they created seeds, imprints, as we call.
So that is true both for the good seed being the Dharma
Ta-na-na-na. Exactly. Not only the good things we bring with us, but we also bring the bad things. That's why. Actually, we bring more bad things than good things because normally we do more bad things than good things. That's why we come already with, effortlessly anger, effortlessly envy, effortlessly attachment. Because we've been cultivating these for life after life after life. And we come with ignorance. So that means that we just repeat again and again and again. Sometimes when I really meditate on death and like impermanence and then, next life, and then I think about high school and I think, oh my God, having to come back and to go through high school again. He gives me the, I don't want this. I don't want this. But I can come back without the suffering mind of the high school, without the mind that is in the 8 worldly dharmas, the mind that it is craving for, reputation, craving for praise, craving, high school is the best time to see these things. We are always wanting to be someone, hanging out with the cool kids, we receive these and that, Wow. Or work, when you go to new work, you start a new work, best time also to check, how you wanting to impress, how you want to this, and then you start to see that is not sustainable. You are not like that all the time. You're not. You're not always happy and nice and kind to everybody as you are in the beginning. But then starts to, I don't like this person, da, da, da. Then the 8 worldly dharma start to come more in your face. That's very important. Understanding how they kind of like trap us into this life and waste our time. And as you say very well, don't allow us to create the good seeds for next life. We don't prepare ourselves. And then we go into this loop again and again and again and again and again and again and again. you know? So one of the things that I feel that is important when we're talking about, any questions or so far so good? Yeah? Good, everything okay? Online people, questions? No? So one of the things that is important that when we're talking about the eight worldly dharmas is we need to be very, very careful to not misunderstand it. It's not about saying what I just was explaining with the flower, that having material things is bad. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this at all. Material things are not inherently good and not inherently bad. What will make the difference is the intention. Because if you have a lot of money, you can create a lot of suffering, or you can create a lot of goodness. You can have no money and you can create a lot of suffering, and you can create a lot of goodness. It's not in the material things. There's nothing wrong with receiving praise. It's just the mind that craves for it, the mind that is attached to it as a source of happiness. You understand?
Mhm.
That is the problem. Source of wrongly believing that if I receive more praise, I'm gonna be happier. At some point, you just if someone would spend with you 24 hours saying, "You're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing." After 3 hours, you want to slap that person and say, "Just stop it." Just tired, you know, because it's just words. There is, I heard it the other day, Thubten children, very special nun, very special. So she really got the Dharma in the way that she explains in a very like um relatable way. Very special. She wrote this series of books with the Dalai Lama. I think we might have here. It's a very special book. And she was talking about that there was this nun that was wanting to have eggs. She was like craving for eggs, and then in the place in the monastery that they were, they didn't they didn't cook eggs, and then she went outside. You know, someone invited her to outside, and then the person said, only give her eggs the entire day. The teacher said to them, give her eggs the entire day. And the person, and you know, some of these vows we have that we need to accept everything that people give, you know? So she was, and then at some point when she came back, she was just like, let's see what it means, how the craving cheats us, right? Because I thought that I wanted, and now that I have it, 100 eggs or 50 eggs, I don't want to see eggs anymore, right? That is the most important. So there's nothing wrong with the object, with the thing, with the word, with the praise, with the reputation. There's nothing wrong. Because sometimes having a good reputation, if you think about it, opens more possibilities of us to help others. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The motivation and the wrong belief that the attachment to it, the happiness that this we think is gonna have give us if we follow that. That is the wrong mind. Very important. Because if we really think about it, is I wanted to do a meditation, but of course I started to talk so much. Many times, especially in this time and age, we think that success is having those four pairs of eight worldly dharmas, right? We label as success those that have a good reputation, those that are praised, those that have fame, those that have material things, those that have pleasure all the time. That's what we call success. So we need to be careful because we can be cheated by this idea as well, which is wrong, a wrong view of what success is. Because if we think about in a Dharma point of view, success is actually having the conditions and practicing Dharma. Really practicing Dharma. You know, having the possibility of using these, as we call, precious human rebirth, this rebirth as a human being, this rebirth as a healthy body, this rebirth with kind of like outside circumstances that are favorable, but especially the inner aspects of wanting to work on ourselves and to develop ourselves. So this is, and using this to really practice and do the Dharma, that's success. That is fortunate, you know, we are very fortunate. So that is what we need to also realize, because these successes, as you know, having these things, it's actually creating more suffering to us. As we said, if it was true that having money would bring happiness, then every rich person in this world would be the happiest person in the world. And I have to say that I've been with people, very rich people, and I didn't see the happiness that sometimes I found in very poor situations in Nepal, in India, with the monks in the monasteries eating rice and lentils every day and being so happy. And people having the choice of choosing and buying whatever they want and not feeling even the opposite, rotten inside, right? Like with that big hole, that empty space that never gets satisfied. Right? The opposite, because they start to understand, they start to see, they really start to see that it doesn't bring. Only the mind, state of peace and calm, an open mind and an open heart, having that creates that what we want. And even we can see it, you know, when we are under this attachment to these 8 worldly dharmas, even when we get the object, there is some type of tension, some type of excitement that doesn't create really peace of mind. It creates a which we think it is happiness, but it's actually creating, making us totally nuts. Right? Very important that we observe this. We need to start observing. It's almost to start seeing that, oh, the way we've been seeing and experiencing things might have been completely wrong. So we need to start checking and seeing, is it true? How it is my mind when I'm under the influence of this? How it is? You know, let's say that we want to have, you know, I don't know, that person or that job or that, you know, that car, or the moment we get, first that it starts a fear that we might lose it, we might break it, something might happen to it. You know, I sometimes my mom is so sweet. She sometimes sends me these little videos about you know, kind of like a people making surprises for others, or homecomings, you know, like people in the military and things like that. And then we see that person crying, and then we say, oh, that's so beautiful. But it's just because they were suffering so much because of this, of the fear of losing that person. That was the worst. So it was that person was free from that suffering in that moment. In that moment, but it is still there. That mind is still there. That mind is still feels and thinks that that person is inherently, it is going to bring the happiness that we want, and is not causal. That person is going to die. Right? So we cling to that permanence, and we cling to this like thinking, way of thinking, and we suffer. So this is so interesting, Because we even sing these things. We feel that it. No. Yes, it is. It's nice that that person stop it feeling that suffering. But the moment of the mind of attachment, the mind of even love, love is such a difficult thing that we talk about nowadays. Because love, can we actually have love without attachment? Let's be honest here. Can we? Can you love someone and say, if you need to find someone else to be happy, I'm very happy for you? Right? Because that's what love is. Love means I want you to be happy. Even if it is without me. No. Love, it's full of attachment, full of grasping, full of how can I say, control, right? Full of tightness. So we can see, even here, when we experience these types of love, the mind is not relaxed. Because the moment we start with having a new relationship or, anything new, the mind starts to freak out. And normally, because we cannot control the mind, we ended up creating the causes for happening exactly what we didn't want to, which is the person to leave us. That is exactly what we want. We want happiness and we don't want suffering. So happiness is there, suffering is here. And we say, I want there. Yes, I want there. And we just walk there. We just walk that direction. And we say, no, but I want to go that direction. No, but I didn't want that direction. Because we only create the causes for more and more and more suffering. So so that was the meditation that I wanted you to do, but you can do it as homework this week, right? Homework this week is going to be that you check your mind when you are under the influence of the eight worldly dharmas. So just check when you are receiving a praise, when you are, someone, or you buy something that you would like to, or you have a pleasure of, I don't know, whatever type of pleasure you get, comfort, like you get a, some, check how does it feel at that time. Of course, maybe, there is a sense pleasure, like for example, you're having a massage. Yeah, there is a sense pleasure, but check if there's not a tension somewhere. The mind is not tense in a certain level. Or when it's like, oh my God, I got a new phone, it's amazing, da 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 da. Checking that excitement. If the mind is relaxed, if the mind is open, if the mind is actually flexible, if the mind is understanding that yes, that this thing can break. Now that you bought it, it can break, right? It's in the nature of it. Perfect example to see how we are completely nuts. You go to a company, to a phone place, a phone shop, and then you see a phone and you say, oh my God, I really would like to buy this and da 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 da. Yeah. And then you see that, and then you're walking and then trying and still choosing. Oh, but that one I really like it. And then someone goes, picks up, and then drops it, on the floor. And you're like, oh wow. But it doesn't really move so much, You didn't buy it. They probably had another one. That's it. But now you go, you like it is, you bought it, and you feel excited about it. That is all of it. You're feeling completely perfect. And then someone comes and, stumps into you, boom, and breaks it. The dragon comes out. Right? The object and the situation is exactly the same. Exactly the same, right? What changed? Your label and your perception that because now is mine, It's never gonna break, or it cannot break, or it shouldn't break. You understand? But it's gonna break. It's the nature of it. But we don't see reality. We don't see things as they are. Therefore, we craving because our attachment is saying to us, yes, this is amazing, like this is projecting all of these incredible qualities, including how do you say permanence, right? And we're thinking, holding, yes, this permanent is going to be forever, like this, going to love me like this forever, and then gone. Why? Because it's cause and effect, and it doesn't stay. Nothing stays the same forever like this. Everything's changing, right? So, wow, very interesting. So you check that. This is homework this week. Check. How is your mind at the moment of this? Or, best as well, when you wanted to buy something, you go to the supermarket and they don't have what you want. Check how the mind is. Check them. We need to start recognizing. I can be here talking all of this blah, blah, blah for you, and you say, ah, yes, very nice, very nice. And then you go home and you do the same. No, we need to check in your daily. Check to see if your mind is peaceful, relaxed, or if it is agitated, disturbed, excited, like this. Then you start to say, you start to use your mind as a lab. You become the scientist. You are the scientist because you are deciding which experiment you're going to use, you're going to do, but you're also the little mice, the white mice, the white rat, lab rat, because you're also going to receive the the results of that. So let's do something then that at least helps us, right? So you try, you check, and you see, oh yeah, oh look at me doing this. Wow. And then life becomes joyful. Because then you start to see and you start to laugh at yourself. That's why sometimes some people say, why the monks are always happy, always laughing? Because it's a joke. Everything's a joke. If we look at ourselves, we are a joke, a big joke, right? The way our minds are. Oh, once we are like this, but at least we have the Dharma, at least we have possibility of changing, at least we have a possibility of really transforming it. So, of course, we're going to be happy, because we can change. Patricia, you're going to ask something.
I was going to ask something but now my question changed. And this is about the practical world, because I was thinking, yeah, like purifying all of these and recognizing these 8 worldly dharmas. However, you also mentioned that things are no bad, situations are no bad, they can be used for good. How to live without these 8 worldly dharmas in the material world that we experience every day?
It's a process. It's not going to happen tomorrow, right? And as I said, it's not about the things in itself. It's not about you giving up your clothes, your car, your house, your iPhone, I remember one friend of mine, first thing that when he saw me, he said, you are a monk and you have an iPhone. How can it be? And I said, yes, because I need. It's a tool. It's a tool to actually connect with so many people and benefit so many people, right? Because I understand that things are not inherently good or bad. The moment you understand that, you can do whatever. You're free. There's freedom. It's like the world is a playground. You literally use things for benefiting others. And wow, then you have your mind becomes so vast. Like Lama Zopa and Lama Yeshe. They had these visions that they were like, building, I don't know how many, like monasteries and, and kind of like stupas and things that would help others connect with the Dharma to, like, develop a good heart. Wow. The mind becomes so vast. So it's not about in your daily life. It's about looking at the attachment and catching it. catching the attachment and say, "Oh, look at me." And then you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I buying this? Am I believing that, this is going to bring me like happiness? Is this going to help me for next life? Is this going to help me to get enlightened? Is this going to help me to develop a good heart and help others? And sometimes one thing that we do might not at that moment. The next moment might be. The Buddha, he gave 84,000 teachings. And people sometimes, when you read some of the teachings, the sutras, people say they are, how do you say, contradicting, conflicting. Because for one person, he would say, yes, becoming a monk is the best thing, da, 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 da. For the other person, it's like, no, becoming a monk is very bad, don't become a monk, and all of this. They would say, how do you do this? Well, because we have different dispositions, because things are changing. So some moment, that's why being a scientist means having the freedom to check. That moment, we use this. That other moment, we use that. Another moment, we use this as well. Because in here we work. But you need to have the freedom and not following your patterns, not following the attachments. Because otherwise you have no freedom. You're just doing the same thing again and again and again, trying a different result. I'm sorry, but it's not going to work. That is the mind. That is how we live in our daily lives. We check everything all the time. We are aware of our minds. What is going on? Why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? Yeah, look at me. Look at me here, wanting like a little girl wanting for approval of daddy, of of the job, of this, of that. And then you laugh at yourself. And you still do the action. It's not about not doing the action. It's not about not buying the thing. It's not about you understand, not saying compliment. It's not doing it with that mind, that attached mind. That is very important. Very important. You can do the same thing. You don't need to change the outside. You change the inside, motivation, the intention. And so one thing can become holy Dharma and one thing can become worldly Dharma.
Yeah.
Depends on the attachment. If it is the mind under control of the attachment, worldly Dharma. If it is under control of love, kindness, compassion, wisdom, then holy Dharma. Okay? We need to stop, otherwise we're never going to go. So, thank you so, so much. I'm so sorry I talked so much. Oh my God. Yeah. That's why we're never gonna stop. We're gonna finish the book. I'm gonna finish. We know I'm gonna finish it. Yes, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to blah blah blah. But try to put into practice. That's the most important. So whatever we do, we dedicate that. Yes, may we be able to create the conditions here together and individually to apply these teachings to our mind during our day. Whatever we are doing at home, alone, with people, anywhere we go, may we be able to really be free and free ourselves from the eight worldly dharmas, free ourselves from this attachment, this craving for these things that don't bring this everlasting peaceful happiness that we want. So we dedicate that we might be able to then practice real Dharma based on love and kindness, compassion, wisdom, that are not based in wrong views. That's why they are the causes of happiness, because they are based in reality, in understanding how we are dependent on the kindness of others. And so we want to repay that kindness. So we dedicate that we are able to repay the kindness. And the best way we can repay the kindness is not only with, food, shelter, clothes, all of these, very important. We should always do this as well. But best ways to help them to go inside, to find the tools within themselves to be free from the eight worldly dharmas. That's the best. And for that, we need to do with ourselves first. We dedicate for that end. And for that, we would never even consider hearing the word Dharma and the eight-worded Dharmas and knowing that there is a way to be free from these minds, states of mind, if it was not for the kindness of our teachers. We dedicate as well for the long and healthy life, especially of our teachers, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, so he can continue guiding us and all sentient beings until enlightenment. And we dedicate that, places like Thubten, Kunga, Ling, and all of the Dharma centers where people just like us are here trying to study, contemplate, and study the Dharma. May they also be able to have all the conditions, the necessary conditions to continue spreading and, how do you say, making the Dharma flourish. And we also dedicate that by doing so, by us working on our minds, we become less angry, we become less attached. So this is our contribution for a more peaceful, kind, and loving world. So the more we become like this, the more we can help others to become like this, the more the world will become more peaceful, more kind, more loving. We dedicate that all these wars, famine, economical problems, political problems, all of the natural disasters, all of the problems that are happening right now in this world to be completely eliminated. And that peace and love prevail. So we're going to do some dedication, some prayers. So we start on page 235. I'm sorry. That's why I need the clock. Then I don't. So 235, 235. We're going to do the 5 first dedications, general dedications. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Now we go to page 246 for Shantidevas. 246, 246. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy, may the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. Now we go to page 244, to His Holiness Short Long Life Prayer. We do it in English and in Tibetan. We do first in English. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Gandhi Ramwe Kowe Jinkandi Pendan Dewa Malu Junwe Ne Chenrezig Wan Tenzin Gyatso Yi Shape Site Bardu Tengyo Urchi. Now we go to page 234, 234, for the swift return prayer of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Lozang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wear the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So next week, I am not here because I'm going to party in Brazil. Yes, there's a wedding. My brother is getting married, so I need to go. And but everything will continue. The only day that we don't have class, it well actually I'm not gonna do the class online. It's on Sunday. But next Sunday. So this Sunday, so now it's Thursday. So this Sunday we have class online. The meditations they continue online. Only maybe on Thursday I might not be able to do it, but I'll confirm. I will let you guys know the day before. Then Monday we have the meditations in the evenings online. Wednesday we have the meditations and the Spanish online. Then Thursday we're gonna have online, because when I come back, I come back on the 3rd of July, July 3rd. 4th of July, it's big day, so we don't have class because it will be impossible for us to be having class here and all the fireworks outside. So on the 5th, we're not gonna do it. On the 4th, sorry, the 4th, and we're not gonna do it, but we do it online. Okay, so have that in mind. So thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you, online people. Thank you, Nana, Esther, Deepa, Vicky, Jackie.
Well, we can move that.